Hi, I'm Mitch Askenaz. I'm the Senior Director of Sales for CTS, and I'm here with Kelly Miller, the VP of Affiliate Operations for Fox. Thanks for joining us, Kelly.
Thank you for having me.
So a couple of questions for you about LRM. How are you using LRM within Fox Media Cloud?
We're using LRM across kind of all of our platforms. We aggregate all of our affiliate stations. We have all of our owned and operated stations as well as our cable networks. And we utilize LRM to basically provide the content streaming rights. It allows us to really utilize the ability to use kind of the out-of-band data with the inbound data and create the content policies that determines where our content can be received, by whom, as well as other additional rights around the content itself.
Great. That's amazing, isn't it?
It is.
So what are the key benefits that Fox realizes from using LRM?
Well, it helps us, the convergence between kind of the traditional distribution and the streaming. It was really a protocol that we had to use, and it really benefits the company as well as our partners. It was kind of, when the OTT world came out, you had to come up with a different mechanism of delivering content, and it really bridged that gap for us to move forward with an IP-based distribution solution.
And why did Fox choose CTS to do your LRM implementation?
Well, we were very early on with Cable Labs, and worked very close with this technology at the time that was acquired by CTS, and saw them kind of as the leader, as well as in the standards body itself, but also much further ahead than other vendors out there at the time. And it's since 2016, it's been a wonderful relationship.
So how's it been working with the CTS? And have you realized your vision of what you expected for all this to work for Fox?
Yeah, I think again, I think we've got a lot of room to grow the platform as we go down the road. But I think working with the CTS team has been fantastic. Again, it's people that are very embedded in the standards. That really help, and again, the project management team has been fantastic and responsive, and it's very much ongoing relationship.
Yeah, we absolutely enjoy working with your team as well. It's been a great partnership. How do you see the future of Fox's media supply chain? Where do you think it's going? What do you think the next big initiatives are?
I always like to look into my own personal crystal ball, at this, and I see we still have that kind of bridge between, the traditional delivery platforms of satellite and the IP distribution, and I think that still needs to converge. I think that the standard that we're working off of, really kind of came up on the cable side initially with Comcast and Time Warner Charter and Cox and our traditional cable partners. And it was basically to allow them to use masthead-in infrastructure and to feed the nation. And when at the time Fox had the regional sports networks, that architecture was really impossible, and it required the cable operators to really maintain local cable head-ins for the off-air pickup of broadcast stations as well as the RSNs. And by us moving forward with this at the time, really before OTT hit, and we were already looking at that. I think that we were really looking to go. So I think from my perspective, it's still, I'd like to get the cable operators more going forward on this. Mm-hmm. We're obviously doing some TVE work for Charter and Comcast at this point. But I think that overall convergence and clearly going down the road to bring that together.
Where do you see the future overall of SCTE 224? Where do you, down the road, do you see it working with addressability for ads and other things?
I do. I think there's some interesting conversations we're going to have maybe tomorrow about that. But I think that I've always seen, the SCTE 224 as being alternate content. Obviously we were, very early on and is long form or the programming, but always knew that addressable advertising could definitely be part of 224. I think that you guys recently demoed some really amazing AI, ML, and I think that that probably will help us get there. I want to believe that 224 is the direction, but I still think that there's a lot of different options out there right now, and people are going down different paths with addressable advertising. I think there's a place for it in 224. It's solid where we're at now, but I do think the next step is to really figure out whether we can fit addressable advertising in this.
And what do you think it'll take for the industry to fully embrace 224 across all the MVPDs and content owners?
I think we've got some experience under our belt now over the last 5 years, 6 years, and I think that I think it goes back to a summit that CTS hosted in Denver. I'm trying to think, it had to be about 2017. We were obviously invited and instrumental in pulling that together, and it was interesting because we thought maybe 50, 60 people would show up, and there was well over 120, and we pulled in programmers that, from all over the country that came to Denver to attend the session, and still talk to a lot of those folks today. That was like that was really eye-opening, and see the advantages of the standard to promote it. It's been a long road. I think adding the addressable advertising into it and making it more of a the whole package of what it was conceived to be able to support. I think the industry's still interested in it, and I think the fact that we've got it locked in with Comcast and Charter, and Cox has been very active in it, but as well as our OTT partners. When you get somebody the size of a YouTube TV, Google, basically adopting your standard and making that their format. And unfortunately, we're lucky, and Turner's lucky, and a few others that are doing it are lucky in demand. But it's some of these guys are still sending Excel spreadsheets to be ingested, but it ultimately gets formatted back into 224 by the partner and then put out. So I mean, I think it's been a little bit of a slow growth, but I think that as a programmer, if you do when you look at alternate content, which we all have to do, short form, long form, I think that there will be a greater adoption of the standard.
Well, Kelly, it's been great chatting with you today, and look forward to the rest of the show.
Great, thank you, Mitch.
You're welcome.